And we're live. Hello, everybody. This is
Okay.
it's been a month.
Has. It's
I've missed everybody. It's good to see everybody's faces.
I have, man, a month's a long time, but there's just also so much going on right now that it's hard to squeeze more into it than just the once a month. But man, we got a lot of stuff to catch up with. What have you been up to lately, James?
Napping. I just woke up from a nap.
No,
Um I don't
you
I don't
took
think we're
you
gonna have a problem filling the hour, however
no.
long this goes.
Yeah, this may go a little bit longer than an hour. I got a lot of
Yeah.
stuff on my mind, and I know you do. Which, by the way, when you said you were taking a nap, you said you were in bed. Who takes a nap in bed in the middle of the day? What kind of animal are you? That's what couches are for, James.
I've
uh,
got a box fan in my bedroom, so once I turn it on, I'm
mm,
out.
no. Oh yeah, I got two. I got one on each side of the bed. That's what we do here.
Plus I have 4 kids. I can't sleep on the couch with all the kids running around.
I don't know how you do it, sir. I don't know how you do it. Who all do we have with us today, James? I got to look over and see who's with
Let's
us. It's
see.
been a while.
I did see Mel was with us. Misty, we got Fred, we got Paul, we got Cools, David Hall's here,
Cool.
Declan, Matt Carr is here, Susan Crowell, let's see, John Pierce.
Yeah.
We do have let me find that comment. I believe yes, Mark is here. Looking forward to this. His first live show as a new coalition
Awesome.
member.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
That's great.
Cat
That's great.
Kathy's here. So
Quite a
everybody's
few names I don't
gathering.
recognize. Good deal.
Yeah.
Glad to see you back, David. I know David's missed a few, so we're glad to hear you back here with us, David. Like I said, we got a lot to get into. I want to give a quick shout out, real quick, just because they do such an amazing job of hyping us up and talking about us. And unfortunately, we don't have as frequent of publications as they do. But our good friend Mike Mayberry at Cochise County Travelers, he's a really good friend of ours. He does a lot of good things for us, a lot of good shout outs for us. So if any of y'all don't listen to his podcast, I'd recommend it. A lot of his stuff is about Billy, as he talks a lot about some of our projects. So check out him at Cochise County Travelers, and then of course the Epitaph. I know we push the Epitaph a lot on our Facebook page, and then you and I and Doss and Jeremiah have a lot of articles that run through there. But man, the Epitaph every single month gives us a huge shout out. So make sure and support those guys both, because they're definitely big friends of the coalition. So anyways, I just want to start out everything by thanking them, because they've just been amazing to us, and we appreciate it.
I really enjoy working with Mark Boardman, the editor of the Epitaph,
Right.
and
Yep.
I know James B. Mills works with them and
Uh-huh.
runs the social media page and all that, and he contributes a lot. And
Hmm.
just a bunch of guys I enjoy working with at the Epitaph.
Oh yeah, and I know the Epitaph numbers have gone up exponentially since Mills has started helping out, and I know that a lot of our members have gotten memberships as well. So I'm glad to see that they're doing not better as in they were doing bad, but I'm glad to see that
Yeah.
their numbers are really skyrocketing. In my
Well, when
opinion,
you
I
talk
think
about Mills and the Epitaph, you want to talk about
Mhm.
correlation or causation. You can't just attribute the success of the Epitaph to anything Mills does, because that'll just go straight to his head.
Well, that's why I followed it up by saying it's all the shout outs that we give it, and all
Yeah.
the members that from the coalition that have gone over there. So I really credit you and I, James, the
That's
cool
yeah, that's
James,
the
the
that's the
Townsend James.
that's the core of it. Yeah.
Yeah, the core of it. But seriously, guys, if I mean, it's like what there's like $30 a year, and in my opinion, it's the best monthly publication out there on Old West history. It's just damn, every single issue is good. So, anyways, give them a shout out and check them out if you don't get a chance. So, with that in mind, what all you want to talk about today, James? I know we've got a lot going on. I've got some stuff. Anything that's on your mind, fresh, that you need to get off your chest?
No, I mean, I think we are playing catch up with a lot of stuff. I think we're
Right.
still kind of needing to talk about the Stinking Springs thing, and delve into
Okay.
that a little bit. We do have I'll try to put together a more in-depth episode about that, because it's just such a, not to use a
Oh yeah.
pun, but a monumental thing, marking that place, and
Right.
it deserves more attention. And then we've got a couple things on the plate, but any sidebars or anything, I don't really
Sure.
have much going on
Mhm.
right now. Just been busy with work and life and everything.
No, I get it. Well, yeah, I've got a few things that we talked about and that I told everybody on the Facebook page that we're going to cover. So, we'll jump right into that. But yeah, first off, I think Stinking Springs, that is in my opinion, that's our biggest accomplishment yet. It was certainly, as far as from a physical size and weight standpoint, it was our biggest project yet. It was the first time we've marked a historic site that was not a grave. So I was pretty excited about that. So
Yeah.
yeah, we marked that what was it, Friday? Yeah, we went over there Thursday. We put the monument up Thursday, and then we came back Friday, and we had the ceremony. Man, it went off absolutely great. Anytime you do things like that, I'm always scared something bad's going to happen. You're going to get bad weather, somebody's going to get hurt. Property owners are going to have second thoughts. A whole slew of things can happen. And again, every time we do that, I spend 2/3 of my time stressing about the worst case scenarios. But man, it went off absolutely perfect. It couldn't have been better. We had a great turnout. I think we had maybe 16 or 17 of our members showed up. As
Awesome.
everybody knows, we kept it kind of hush hush. Well, we kept it very hush hush. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, we had some of our core coalition members showed up that we invited to that event. Just again because we had to keep it kind of secretive. It's like I always said, it's a shame that we have to do it that way, but I didn't want the property owner to get spooked or anybody else to come out and cause any sort of interference with all the work we put into it. So yeah, that's kind of our core group. David Thomas is over there on the far right. You can see Jeremiah's taking the picture, so he's why he's not in there. Of course, you got Amy and Mike up there. Yeah, it's a great group, man. That was an amazing time. The monument, as you can see it there, is stands about 3.5 feet tall. I don't know how much it weighed. Maybe if Aaron is watching, he can chime in the comments. But I know it took four of us every single bit of energy and strength we had to get it up. I would guesstimate that it was probably close to 1,000 pounds. And that
And the
five
the
corner,
gentleman kneeling,
yes,
there is Cools himself, Keegan
yes,
Cool.
the Keegan Cools, yes. So
And
come on there
I did see
looking
him
like a
earlier in the chat.
pimp. Yep, yeah, I saw he's here. Yeah, Keegan, they were there. We had Aaron over on the far left. The young man on the second to the left is Twister. That was Aaron's nephew. He was 16,
Nice.
and he was a great kid. It was kind of cool watching him walk around because we took a big tour of a bunch of sites, and he is 5'8", 150 pounds, and he's a kid. He looks like a kid, so it was kind of odd to see him walking around these sites because he's pretty much identical to what Billy would have looked like in
Right?
size and stature. So it was really cool seeing him walk around and just see how much smaller he was than us. And it was, I don't know, it was
Pretty
very
cool,
odd,
man.
but it was really really cool because he fit the kid's description perfectly. And seeing him walk around Stinking Springs, and then we went over to Brazil Ranch site in Springs. And but yeah, so man, it was a great time. We've got a close up of the marker too. Can we zoom in on that a little bit? And yep,
Yeah,
so
there's
that
the
was the
back
back
of it.
of it. Aaron and his family donated this and really made this happen. They did some amazing work on this stone. That's all. I don't know. I'm going to say this wrong, but that's all etched and burned into it, and they did an amazing job of making. I don't know, man. Just making it very visible and clear what we're looking at. Yeah, to
Aaron did say
answer,
it was 500 plus easily.
Aaron, you're a liar. It was 1,000. There's no way that was. There's no way that was only 500 pounds. I felt like just
Right,
the
and
part that
this
I
is
had to
on
pick up
private
was
property,
500.
right?
Yes. Yeah, it's on private property. I need to get with the property owner again. He's incredibly gracious. I feel like pretty much anybody that reaches out to him, he would grant access to come see it. So maybe I can let me reach out to him, and maybe by our next show, I can share his contact information on the channel, and then people can start reaching out to him because I don't think he would turn anybody away that's respectful and polite.
Yeah.
He's very very nice. But yes, it is on private property, but it's not hard to get to. And now that it's marked, now that we got a piece of the Berlin Wall freaking sitting there, you can see it from space. It's easy to find, and that's our boy Aaron. Uh, Man, Aaron, God, what a good freaking time we had. Him and Twister drove up from basically Waco, and then we met him that morning. You know, setting the stone, it went relatively easy, despite the fact that I've been bitching about how heavy it was. We got real lucky, and we were able to pull the pickup truck up to about 5 feet from where you see it sitting there. So that made it really easy. Had we had to have lugged it across, you know, the probably 100, 150 yards to the site from the road, we'd probably still be there moving it because it, damn, it was so heavy. Aaron, it was not 500 pounds, sir. But I don't know how heavy it was, but it was heavy. There were five of us there, but Mike complained that he had medical issues, so he had to be the official videoer. So it was really just four of us moving it because Mike was all but worthless.
That's what I would have said
um,
too.
I know he literally did. Mike, if you're listening to it, yes, I'm talking shit about you. He literally he did an amazing job. I'm just giving Mike a hard time, but yeah, he had to video it. He's got some. He I guess he was on a weight restriction or something, which really makes no sense. That's a failure of leadership on my part. We're moving you know, part of the Great Wall of China, and I take a guy that's on a weight restriction. So Mike was our film guy, and man, it just went great. You know, we sent Mike and Jeremiah out, so we all met up at the kids' grave, and at 9 o'clock, just to all get together and make sure we're all heading out at one time. And then we sent Jeremiah and Mike out ahead of time to just make sure everything was set up and ready for us. And then as they were showing up, a train stopped on the tracks that allowed us access to the property. And I guess it sat there for almost an hour. And nobody realized that except Jeremiah and Mike. And then, of course, me as I got closer and they called me. But we almost had a disaster there because the train almost prevented us from even getting on the property. So that was a small crisis diverted. But all in all, man, it went great. We did so much fun stuff there.
Lloyd wants to know, can you talk about how you pinpointed the location?
Sure. You know, and I've there's an article coming up in the Coalition Press in a couple months that will go into details. But yeah, so the site, as you know, if you look at photos and whatnot, historians have been going there. I think the earliest photo we got is maybe Fulton going there in the early 20s. And you have like Jarvis Garrett standing on the site in the 60s and the 70s. And then after Jarvis Garrett, there's kind of a blank time period. So from the late 70s until 1987, the site had kind of been lost. Well, not kind of been lost, it had been lost. Ground, foliage, dirt, and everything had covered up what was left of the foundation until Alan Barker, which again, I've talked about Alan quite a few times on the show, my mentor. He was a grassroots historian at the time, and he went out there with his sons in 1987, I believe it was, and rediscovered the site through his own independent research. So he actually re-pinpointed it, and then once he did that, it had kind of been known to a select group of people from that point on. I first went to the site in, oh gosh, I was 18 probably, and reached out to the property owner at the time, Janice Grisham. She was her family still owns it. It's her son Dwayne that I contact now. But when I went out there, she took me to it, and you know, from then I just you know, remember the location on my own from that point in time. And then, of course, every time I go out there, I just reach out to the property owners again and get their permission. But yeah, that's how we pinpointed the site. Again, it was due to Alan Barker relocating it in the late 80s is how we know where it's at today. That's why when you put the video together, you'll have my little dedication speech that we did. And I dedicated the monument and the occasion to Mr. Barker. He died 9 years ago. But had it not been for him, we would not know where that site is today. So hopefully that
That's
kind of answers
awesome.
the question, man. Yeah, I know it really was.
And you still talk to Alan's family, right?
Yeah, you know, I was going to do this for the end, but we'll do this real quick. So I'm in contact with Alan's family. Again, he was 116 years old when he passed. He lived a
Wow.
long, I know, crazy long life. His children now, if they're listening, I hope I'm not aging you, or I hope I'm getting this correct. But his children are you know, are up there as well. I think they're in their 80s. But yeah, they're all still among us and very active and communicate with me regularly. In fact, they have done a really good job of allowing me to kind of get his memory going again. And we've been in contact with them, and they've been supplying me some of his books that, as you know, we talk about in the novel, The Kid with Fast Hands and the Billy the Kid quiz books. They went through and relocated quite a few of them. And when I say quite a few, I mean quite a few of them in boxes and storage, and they have donated
Mm.
those to the coalition. So I was going to show them at the end, but I have literally, this is just a small, very small taste of a lot of copies of these books that we now have, and we're working on making those available to coalition members and whatnot. So we'll get those out to everybody. They're almost impossible to get a hold of. I think The Kid with Fast Hands right
Yeah.
now, there's like one copy that's on ABE Books, and I think it's like a $56 or $60 book. So I've reached out to the Billy the Kid Museum. They're carrying these books again. I'm providing copies to them, and
Oh,
we're working on
awesome.
getting these. I know, so you can get them at the Billy the Kid Museum if you're driving through there. But right now, through them, and then us shortly, will be the only place that you can still get copies of these, because they've been out of print for. I mean, again, he stopped putting these out in stores in probably the late '90s, so it's been, close to 30 years since these books were available. So we do have a bunch of them, and we'll get them out to our members and provide information on that soon. So yeah, sorry, got off topic with that, but I wanted to touch on that real quick while we could.
Declan wants to know, have you been to where the Blackwater killings took place, and is there a marker there?
So no, there's not a marker there. No, that's actually one of the few sites that I have not been to. Um, that will change soon, hopefully. But there's some things in the works on that right now. So we will. I'm gonna avoid the question other than that right there, because there's some things going on with that right now. But yeah, there's not a marker there right now.
Yeah.
So,
Poignant
anyways,
question.
yes, I know, and that's been a very popular question lately for some weird reason. So, um,
It's wild, man.
I know it is. Yeah, that's very weird. So yeah, we did that. That was what Stinking Springs was. We also did a little tour. We went over to one of our members found the location of the Rudolph Ranch. Where Poe visited the night before he went and met Garrett in Fort Sumner and the kid was killed. That's a location that Rudolph rode from on July 15th to go sit on the coroner's report. So we went to that
Yeah.
location. We flew the drone over that, got some really good footage. We're going to post that pretty quick. We went up to Porta de Luna and took Aaron up there and showed him and Twister that site. I think Keegan and the rest of the boys that stuck around after we had to go back to Amarillo, they all went up there too, and we all visited that site. Kind of a sad thing; it's not in good shape.
Yeah.
It's not taken care of. It looks kind of like a flea market and a garage sale had a fist fight and lost because it's I don't know, man. It's sad, but yeah, we went up to PDL, visited there. Man, just a freaking great time. So the visit couldn't have been better. Only thing wrong was you and Doss weren't there, but I get it.
I know, man. Can't wait to make it down there. We'll talk about that later. Next
Yes,
up is
yes,
kind of
yeah,
a piece of information that we kind of want to release. We were actually going to save it and release it in our next journal, right? And kind of
yes,
include the research on it. But as you said in our Facebook post, we've been using the phrase a lot lately, but our hand was forced, and
right,
because of all the drama surrounding the picture that we did, this kind of came out, and it's an awesome find. So we're happy to talk about it. Um,
right.
Again, we weren't going to do it just on a show, but if we have to, then that's fine. It's out there now, so let's talk about it. It's a great. Uh, God, I wish there was another word I could use other than monumental, but it's just a groundbreaking new discovery that was just in a private collection.
Yeah. So the same collection, again, the gentleman's name that had this collection is Larry. Was Larry. He was a gentleman that lived in California. Same individual that owns the Antrim picture that we showed off, the Joe Antrim picture that we
The
showed off in, was it last
the
journal or the third
potential,
one?
yeah, potential Joe
Right.
Antrim.
He owns that photo, a marvelous antique collection of books. There's just so many. Again, I don't have enough time to talk about all the things in his collection, but one of the items in his collection when he reached out to us, I'd say maybe 8 months, it could be a year now, it's been a little while, One of the items he reached out to us and showed us was an actual bill of sale. And everybody, when you think of bill of sale and Billy the Kid, you think of the one that Hoyt had from Tascosa. But he had another one. And again, I know all the critics are going to have issues with it, but let's go ahead and show it here, and then let's talk about it. So, James, will you read that to us? You're much better at the transcribing stuff, and then let's talk about this.
Yeah, absolutely. In the corner, provided I don't know if you can see my Chasing Billy logo is kind of covering some of it up.
Right, right.
It looks like White Oaks, New Mexico, April 10th, 1880. Sold and delivered to John Cravens of Dog Springs, New Mexico, NM. 3 cutter horses and 1 working saddle for the sum of $75 in hand received. Witness William H. Wilson, signed W. H. Bonney.
Yep. Man, when I saw this, I about shit my pants. um, so again, keeping in mind, everything has to be investigated and thoroughly looked at and whatnot. So, when I looked at this, a couple things jumped out at me. So again, and we'll talk about the comparison with the Tascosa bill of sale here in just a second. But while everybody's looking at this, of course, we have White Oaks, New Mexico, April 10th, 1880. So again, we need to verify that date. So that date, the date checks out. So we knew that because you see Billy Wilson, William H. Wilson on the bottom left. During those dates, Billy Wilson actually was still owned the livery stable that he eventually sold for the 400 counterfeit dollar bills, etc. So he was in. Billy Wilson was in White Oaks at that time. Every reason to believe Billy the Kid was as well, considering that's the exact time that a lot of his cattle thieving was going on when he was dealing with Pat Coughlin and Cooper, who was kind of the middleman on that. So you have Billy the Kid in the White Oaks vicinity at that exact time. You have Billy Wilson owning the livery stable in the White Oaks town itself at that time. So to start with, the dates check out.
Then we
So
ask who's Cravens, right? Who's this guy
yes,
Cravens? I'd never heard of
exactly.
him.
Yeah, I had not either, but and again, I don't know between you and I who came up with what, but between the two of us, we were able to find there definitely was a John Cravens in New Mexico at that time. So, and if I'm recalling this story wrong, James, correct me, but John Cravens and his brother's name was James. Uh,
Yes.
Correct. Okay. Actually came through Texas and were cattle thieves and horse thieves in Texas until John Cravens, and they at the time they operated under the alias of Johnson. So John Cravens came over to New Mexico in early of 1880, and he was in the New Mexico vicinity. So when we go a little bit more specifically and we look at Dog Springs Canyon or Dog Springs, New Mexico, if you do some digging and some searching, there's a Dog Springs just north of Silver City in Grant County, which is, yeah, there you go. So if you were to follow that pinpoint over to the right, I'd say 100 and gosh, I'm guessing 130 miles, you'd probably run into White Oaks. So they were in the vicinity. So we can place a John Cravens in the New Mexico vicinity in April of 1880. So that's very encouraging. Now, again, I wanted to make sure that the John Cravens that we were finding was this John Cravens, and I feel almost positive, as sure as you can be, that it was, because I was doing some more digging and I found a John Cravens and his nephew Will Cravens of Dog Springs, New Mexico, mentioned in a Deming, New Mexico newspaper when Will Cravens was killed was involved in a robbery where he killed a man. And it titled them as John and Will Cravens of Dog Springs, New Mexico. So I feel with pretty good certainty that the John Cravens mentioned in this bill of sale is the one that we've been talking about.
Yeah,
And
and the Cravens that used the alias of Johnson, they kind of caused a dust up in Texas and around there for being suspected horse thieves and being involved
right,
in some craziness. So it all checks out. And I'd never heard John Cravens before. It's kind of a neat name. If you were
yeah,
going to forge this or something, I don't think anybody would have known who John Cravens was.
yeah, that is very true. There was no, yeah. I mean, again, the two of us have both done extensive digging into that area. especially the White Oaks area. I've spent God knows how many hours. I mean, White Oaks is kind of my forte, so I'd never come across that name before until I started digging into this. So I definitely think that aspect of it checks out.
David
Yeah,
Hall would like to know how close that is to the date of the battle at Coyote Springs.
sure. So April 10th, 1880 was this date, and Coyote Springs was November 23rd, 24th, 25th
Yeah, somewhere around there.
of 1880. Yeah, there's a little discrepancy over the specific date, but within a day or two, late November 1880. So yeah, that would have been what 3 or 4 months leading up to Coyote
Yeah.
Springs. So again, that's White Oaks, New Mexico, in April of 1880 was the kid's territory, was his primary place of business. So again, all that checks out perfectly, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Let's take this and we'll compare it with the bill of sale from the Hoyt bill of sale. Um, I mean, I see a lot of similarities. The date placement, the title placement at the top is similar but not identical. In my
Yeah,
opinion,
very cool.
this is some speculation, but to me, there's just enough things that are a little different about it that tells me that it probably was not a hey, I'm going to look at this one and then I'm going to forge it accordingly because it was
Right.
written somewhat differently. Um, I did have, and again, I don't have this documented for reasons that I'll explain here in a second, but we did have a handwriting expert here locally at the local police department here look at this document um, and do, a handwriting comparison on it. She then forwarded this same document, a copy of it, of course, when you're looking at with this bill of sale to the FBI, and one of their leading handwriting experts actually looked at it as well, and both of them came back and said that they were certain. I'm trying to think of their exact words, but they were very certain that the two pieces of paper were written by the same hand. So I tried to get them to put that in writing, and of course they would not do that because that's not what those agencies do. So they did refer me to a division with the Secret Service, and that's I've not had as much luck getting the Secret Service to respond to me as I did before. So, but to me, it was encouraging to have them say that they felt that these were both written by the same hand. And if you really zoom in and you start looking at some of the small aspects of the handwriting, there is a lot of similarities. The Hoyt Tascosa one, the handwriting to me looks a little bit better. We know the setting for the Tascosa one. It was written in the McMaster store, so I have no doubt Billy was probably sitting there at a
Yeah.
table, writing it out. We have no idea the environment that this other one was written out under, so that would probably explain why it was a little bit more sloppy.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that's what we've kind of been holding on to this for a while. Um, Again, my intention was to try and get the Secret Service to officially vet the handwriting. That was going to be a big part that I was working on, and then we were going to get the paper tested. Unfortunately, we shared this document with, at the time, a close friend with a another group. With hell, I'll just say it. I'm tired of dancing around stuff. We shared this with Steve at Cold West Detective Agency, and asked him to hold on to it, and he chose not to, and he posted it on Cold West's Facebook page yesterday or the day before. So, kind of like the deal with the photo, things were ruined and they were shared before they needed to be. So we kind of wanted to jump out ahead of this and show everybody, so everybody would have the information with it instead of just seeing it circulating with misinformation. So yeah, that's the bill of sale, man. I again, Larry, the original collector, since passed. His son-in-law Dean is now in possession of it. We've been working with him pretty closely the last 6 8 months to get this authenticated, as well as another really really cool, probably just as cool item as this that that Jeremiah is actually working on. So I don't want to share that because that's his deal and that's his project right now. But yeah, this guy's collection is I feel is legit. He's got a lot of really cool items in it. This is
Really
one of
cool.
them. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully everybody thinks it's as cool as I do because the Tascosa bill of sale, you were with me that one time we went down there, and when you
Oh,
hold that in your hand, man, to see something else, equally as cool and equally as impressive as that. Seeing it out there, it was just amazing. And I think it goes to show that, there's no telling what's still out there. I mean, this was
Uh,
in a gentleman's private collection. Um, he never showed it off. He never did anything with it. He just kept it. And, since his passing, that's what's brought it to our attention. So, there's no telling what's out there still.
wow.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully, like I said, hopefully everybody likes that as much as I did.
amazing. I would, like to say, since you broached that topic, I
Hmm.
think it's safe to say that the coalition, but also just us personally, are no longer affiliated in any way with Steve Cedarwall or Cold West.
Right.
It it was kind of a unfortunate thing. We talked about our hand being forced with that potential picture of Billy.
Right.
Um, I didn't bring names into it because I didn't want to. I don't know. It felt petty. I wasn't accusing anyone of anything.
Sure.
There was just no need. It's just our hands were forced by certain things that took place, and we did the best we could with it. But
Yeah.
that's even been used. The fact that we didn't name names is that we're trying to take credit for something. I want to be crystal clear. We don't own that Billy photo, and we have no vested interest in it. And there's no credit that you or I or the coalition is trying to take for finding or discovering that photo. We were asked to research it. We were asked by Steve. Steve connected us to that photo. Steve Cedarwall
Right.
connected us to that photo. There's no big secret that we're trying to cover up there.
Hmm.
We That's our only connection to the photo. We were asked to research it. We're not trying to claim
Right.
credit. We didn't discover it. It's not our photo. Beyond that, I don't like to talk much about it because I don't want to betray information that I've agreed to keep confidential about the owner and things like that.
Sure.
That being said, you know, this photo was posted on Cold West in what is perceived, I guess, by other parties to be retaliation for us releasing that photo. It's becoming just this, you know, petty
Yeah.
game of who's getting credit for what, and we've never claimed credit for that photo. We were asked to research it, and it was compromised.
Yeah.
It was shown, and the knowledge of it was given to someone that we thought would have been a bad custodian of that information that we were given and asked to research and spend years looking at. And in that moment, as things developed and as we got information, it seemed best to us to come forward and control the flow of information related to that picture. If I had it to do over again, I would have just ceased relations with all parties involved and walked away from it and not released it because it's been a headache. And
Yeah.
if anybody thinks that the reason I released that photo was for personal glory or for fame or for, street cred, it's ignorant. And I felt like Michael Jackson there. It's ignorant. It's ignorant, Josh.
I, I caught
But
that. I caught that.
it's truly that wasn't the motivation, and I would gladly undo all that and just not have anything to do with those folks anymore. But yeah, we'll see how that stuff continues to unfold. And Josh, as well as I do that we've got other things that were given to us in confidence by folks like Steve that we have not betrayed, that
Right.
we could if we wanted credit and glory, but that's not what it's about. And it really bugs me that he thinks and others think that that's what it's about. And obviously he's telling other people, because one of the first comments on the Stinking Springs was from a gentleman who was like, "You need to give Steve credit for Stinking Springs," and it was like that. Steve had nothing to do with Stinking
Yeah.
Springs. So yeah, guys, there's just a lot of drama with that. So please be patient with the things we're gonna have to reveal or roll with in response to.
No, I mean you're exactly right, man. It's God, it's so frustrating because for the same thing. Like I'm very passionate. I think we both are. That like you said, we don't own any of this stuff. I'm I have a very aggressive attitude about basically, I want to do what's right by history and I want to respect history. And if it steps on people's toes in the process, that's kind of one of those things that it is what it is. And I don't say that because I don't want people not to trust me or anything else, but ultimately we all need to stop and when I say we all, I'm just saying a general statement. Nobody needs to be a gatekeeper of any of these things. Let's
Yeah.
find out what it is. Let's investigate it, and let's share it with people, and let's let them enjoy it. Let's let everybody see what's going on, because that's why. And this is a deeper topic than we have time for, but that's why I think up until the last few years, because of a few of us that have come out and really been vocal about this stuff and put in some legwork. And I mean, not just us, but there's other groups out there that have done good spreading Billy's name. But until then, I think that's why Billy's history was starting to die off. And up until a few years ago, it had kind of become almost, I don't want to say obsolete, but almost obsolete, because you have all of these. What's the right way to say it? You have all of these people that have been around forever that are gatekeeping all of this information, and nobody wants to share anything. Everybody wants to glory hog it. And, it just dies with these people. There's so many things that have been brought to you and I and the coalition's attention that potentially are incredible finds and are really good, interesting pieces of history that, as well as I do, we were flat out said, don't talk about them, don't share them, don't do anything with it. Well, that's absurd. And we've honored that commitment to the people that have brought these things to us, because our words, our word is all we have. And that means a lot to me. But at the same time, we need to stop. Everybody's got to stop sitting on this stuff and just letting it go to waste because you want credit for it, or you want attention for it, or I don't know, whatever bass backwards reason you have for holding on to this information. There's a couple historic sites that are out there right now, and a couple really cool things that that should be easily available to everyone, and they're not, because we've been lied to about accessibility or knowledge about it, or just anything else in regards to it that we've just been lied to by some of these people that are gatekeeping this stuff. And I don't know, it pisses me off. I don't like it. So yeah, that's to circle back around and to get off the soapbox. That's why I wanted to share that today. I really wanted to have more information to 100% confirm the bill of sale, specifically through testing the paper and ink and whatnot.
Yeah.
But again, there's a lot of pettiness in the world, and the Billy the Kid community is probably the worst one of all the Old West communities. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because Billy the Kid's cooler than everything else, and there's a reason to be passionate about it. I don't know, but you definitely don't see this kind of drama and this kind of internal turmoil in any of the other communities like Jesse James or Wild or Wyatt Earp. So I don't know. Maybe it's just the mystery that is Billy and makes this up. I don't know, but yeah, that's I go on and on, man, but I think we get the point.
Yeah, it's a shit show. And I just there are parties involved like that aren't taking responsibility for something they did and are straight up lying about things. And our trust was violated and we had to do what we did. It's not something we wanted to do. And as well as I know, these were relationships we didn't want to terminate.
Mm-hmm. Right.
These were friends, and it's not a fun thing. But I definitely don't like having my trust violated or being told, seeing something that you've been spending so much time on, just
yeah,
thrown out there on Facebook.
Yeah, I
And
know. Again, I was about halfway through with a pretty detailed article on this White Oaks bill of sale, and yeah, we get on, and yesterday it's shared on Cold West Detective Agency. So and it's frustrating because Steve reached out to me like half a dozen times over the course of the last 6 months before all this drama came about, asking me if he could share it and include it in PowerPoints and everything else with whatever projects he had going on. And he was told over and over again that this is not our item. This is in a private collection. They don't want it shared like that yet. And like I said, I guess as a cheap jab to us, he went ahead and shared it anyways, which it is what it is. Ultimately, like we just got through saying, we want everybody to know about this stuff. So I guess for that reason, I should thank Steve for getting it out there quicker. I just wish he was so diplomatic about all the information that he's gatekeeping. But we all have our own lives, and we live in the way we think.
I just want folks to just look at actions and to see who's taking jabs and who's actually trying to do real history and focus on that. And I think hopefully my goal and our goal,
Hmm.
I think, is that we come out on the side of actually doing history every time and
Yeah,
not the taking jab side.
you know,
We call it out
yeah,
like we have to call it out right now, but you know, it's not something we go looking for.
right. Yeah, and I hope genuinely, I hope everybody appreciates the brutal honesty that we share. Again, I think we all go above and beyond to be gracious and generous and help whenever we can. But also I want to be upfront about everything because I think that's the best way to operate. Um, Man, with that in mind, you want to talk about something more fun and entertaining and talk about our next project?
Well, yeah.
Because everybody's probably tired of hearing you and
eh,
me bitch.
well, what's crazy is Misty earlier in the chat wanted to
Uh-huh.
buy the bill of sale, the new
Uh-huh.
bill of sale. And
Right.
Honeybee, of course, said, "You'll have to fight me for it." And they said, "We'll have to find a time to get together and set
Right.
the date for when this dispute over the bill of sale purchase will happen." Josh, do you have a date that we could all get together and settle this?
I think we do. So, which is good because that will give me quite a few months to get my cardio back up because I'm gonna fight all y'all for it too. So, uh, yeah. So our next project and our next get together, we kind of wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. So the next thing we're gonna mark, we're very excited about it. Again, with the help of Aaron and his family. Is we want to mark and are going to mark the Ellis House in Lincoln. With Amy. That's her home now. We visited with her. As y'all know, we all put her on the board last week. And her house, other than just having anyone that's been to Lincoln, there's that really kind of cheesy, ugly, like metal worded sign out on the street that was put up probably in the late 60s. Um, we're going to actually put a nice stone marker, something comparable to what you saw at Stinking Springs, but not as large and heavy. We've already agreed to that. So yeah, we're going to mark the Ellis House. I'm really excited about that. We're in the process of designing and kind of picking out what we want that to look like. Again, with Amy's blessings, of course. So yeah, we're going to do that in the spring. The tentative date we have set up for that, which leads me into the next fun topic that everybody needs to hopefully remember, is we're going to try and do that the last week of April. Which the cool thing about the last week of April is we want to turn that into a really big coalition event, kind of a Billy Palooza, if you will, but cooler, um, better attractions, and we're not going to charge you $150 to come to it and then cancel for no reason. So yeah, we want to do a big thank you, coalition thank you to all of our members and really probably anybody. And again, everybody keep in mind we're still behind the scenes fine tuning the details of this, but we're envisioning a weekend of live music. We're gonna get you down there. You better come. We're gonna get some
Yep.
live music down there. Some tours. I've got a couple guided tours that I've got planned. One is to a site that I'm not going to share yet. There I am being a hypocrite and gatekeeping stuff, but I'm gonna because I have to build the suspense to a Billy the Kid site that few have been to, as well as some others. We're gonna have we'll probably get David Thomas and some other authors to come speak. We're gonna do a hell of a barbecue, beer drinking. Yeah, it's gonna be a hell of a get together. So we're planning that right now, tentatively the end of April. Don't go buy your plane tickets just yet, but the date's fairly set. We'll have everything completely fixed in stone, ready to rock and roll by certainly by Christmas time.
Yeah. I'm talking to my band, trying to get them to get on board as well, so we can get down there and do some music. But we are
Yeah, man, I
definitely
can't wait.
planning for this Bonnie Palooza.
Yep. uh, yeah, the greatest party in the history of Lincoln. You're damn right. So yeah, Aaron. Aaron, if anybody that doesn't know Aaron, we're gonna get Aaron on the show. So he is, man, he's just become such a great friend of the coalition as far as these projects go. Um, and the son of a bitch knows how to party. He knows how to put on an event. So that's pretty much what he does for a living. So we're gonna get him and Amy together, and we're gonna let them plan one hell of a party and a get together. So
Thanks so much, Fred.
wow, thanks, Fred. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're gonna make this happen. We'll keep everybody up to date on everything. But like I said, right now the dates we've kind of set aside are the last weekend of April. That could change still. So again, don't book anything yet. But I think that's going to be what we're going to go with.
Yeah,
Man, I'm excited, man. That's it's going to be like I said.
absolutely.
Lincoln Days. Anybody that goes to Lincoln Days is okay, but it's turned into a street fair more than anything else. I mean, you were there last year, James. You know as well as I
Yeah.
do. I mean, out of 100 booths there, I think we were the only Billy the Kid one that was there. I think the Outlaw Gang might have been there, selling the same journal that they sold 12 years ago. So, uh, I, so there's just no Billy the Kid stuff there. This event we have at the Ellis home, again, we're still fine tuning it, and we'll get everybody details, but it's probably going to be free. We might charge it, $10 a plate or something for a head count, but we'll worry about that later. I don't know. Like I said, we're still trying to iron everything out, but it's basically going to be free, and just an opportunity for all the people that love Billy and that have supported us from the beginning to come down and party with us. Like I said, beer, barbecue, whiskey, live music, tours, history. Yeah, I can't wait, man. It's going to be
Yeah,
awesome.
all of it. Can't wait. That's going to be so cool.
Oh, I know, man.
And everybody's invited. That's going to be a good time.
Yeah, yep. We've already talked to our buddy Matt over in Australia. I know he's mentioned coming. I'm bugging Mel right now for her to basically put her entire life on hold and spend every dime that she has to come and hang out with us.
Got to be done.
Yeah, it's just gonna have to be done. Yeah, it's I told a lot of our other members that were at the Stinking Springs deal, so they've got a little bit of a jump head start on it. But man, I'm excited. I think it'll be great. Yeah, hopefully you can make it. We'll probably bring the wives, and we'll just have a big get together. I'm excited.
Yeah, going to be a good time, man. And we've got a lot of time to plan some cool stuff around it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Do do the thing that should have been done a long time ago. But
yeah, and that's you're right. There needs to be something for like-minded people to enjoy Billy the Kid history. And again, years ago it used to be Lincoln Days, but unfortunately, that's just not what Lincoln Days is anymore. And I'm not knocking it. I mean, a lot of people, if you like booths and vendors and food trucks and all that, then which I do. I don't get me wrong. I can eat food trucks,
yeah,
the best of them. But if you're going to Lincoln Days for the purpose of enjoying Billy the Kid and his history, you're going to be disappointed because that's not the focal point of it anymore. So I'm really excited to bring this to everybody. And again, we'll be based out of the Ellis house, and that'll be the focal point of all of it. And man, it's going to be a great time. Like I said, I've got a couple tours lined up that I'm envisioning that are off the beaten path and are not just the usual stuff that people are used to when they go to Lincoln and whatnot. So we got to work on Doss too. I've not got Doss to commit to this yet, but we'll get Doss, and Jeremiah will be there, Mike will be there, the important people. So yeah, anyways. But yeah, so that's kind of, those are the three highlights of what I've been working on lately. Anything different with you, James? Research wise, where are you at right now? What's been sparking your interest other than movies and
yeah. I've not done much research lately, man. It's just life
Yeah.
gets in the way sometimes, and you kind of, your focus gets taken other places. But we have a lot of literary projects that I can't wait to dig back into. They've kind of been put on hold while we've worked on the Stinking Springs thing and all that. But you've got your Poe book coming up, and we've got a couple things after that. So I'm about ready to dig back into it. I've been doing some research on the Brown Gang out of Texas that J.W. Bell was connected with, and it's kind of not Billy related at all, but it's been taking a lot of my focus. And just how you get in these side side paths, these side quests, and you just get fascinated by these little stories. So I wanted to learn more about that, and I've been working on that, and might have an article come out about it at some point, just for the heck of it. But other than that, yeah, just spending time on that. I'm about ready to get back to Billy.
Yeah, and you got to do different things every now and then because you're right. It's if you can get burned out if you focus on any one thing too much. But yeah, for me, everything kind of came to a halt the last month because just getting everything lined out for Stinking Springs. The journal is wrapping up. I mean, as far as written and edited, it's all done. We're just getting it pieced up together now. And over to our buddy Matt he's over across the pond. He's going to be putting it together for us, and we're working with him right now to get that done. So, we're still looking at a first of the year time period for the journal. I'm probably a couple weeks away from handing that off completely to him, which will then allow me to finish up the Poe book. I had to, again, just because I like being honest and forthcoming about everything, I had to go back and kind of rewrite some stuff on the Poe book. I've found some reasons to kind of doubt, this might take us into a whole nother topic, but I found some reasons to doubt the authenticity maybe of the workbench and some of the provenance behind it. So in the interest of history and getting things as right as possible, I had to go back and rewrite some of that. There's two main sources that you get information about the workbench from. You get them from Steve's book on the Dirty Ability of the Kid, and then you get the complete flip side opposite from Gail Cooper's book on the death inquiry ability of the kid. I forget what she titles that book. So I basically just had to kind of go back.
Book?
Yeah, I forget what it's called. No, I've got it.
I think it's called the Coroner's Report. Something like that.
Yeah.
So does she not think it's authentic or something?
Yeah. She goes into no, she does not think it's authentic, to answer your question, which is hard to say because with Gail Cooper, it's hard to understand whether or not she doesn't think it's right or if she doesn't think it's right because she wants to find fault with everything that Steve Cedarwall does.
Right. Yeah.
And you just have to weed through the bullshit to figure out how much is legitimate and how much is just blind hate, which again, we've already talked about Steve, and it is what it is. But he did do some good work, and I think there's a lot of his book that I think is good and that I agree with some of his research on. There's some that I don't agree with. And I'm just not sure the more I dig into this workbench and the DNA and all that sort of stuff, I'm just not convinced that that workbench was what we're being told it is.
Right.
Gail Cooper points out, and I could have the years a little off on this because I haven't looked at this recently in the last month or so. It just came to mind because of the conversation. But Gail points out about a 40-year gap in the chain of custody of the workbench. Like basically it just kind of reappears in the 1920s when they were setting up that Billy the Kid Museum. So from that point to today, it's very well established where it was at. But leading up to there's reasons to certainly question whether or not this could, if he was laid out on a bench, that this could actually be the bench in question. I came across an article the other day, and I remember asking you and Doss about it, and nobody can remember now where we read it. So before I include it in the Poe book, I'll have to make sure I can cite the source. But there's an account from probably Silva, I'm sure, or Paco maybe, that talks about walking in and seeing Billy's body laying on a wood plank stretched out between two whiskey barrels. Well, if that's the case, then that completely shit cans the workbench theory and anything associated with it. So, and again, I don't remember the source right now where I read that. I'm going to have to go back and dig through some stuff. So I'm certainly not going to stand behind that theory until I can at least remember the source. But it does provide some evidence that maybe that workbench did not exist then, and maybe the one that is in the Coke collection right now was not the one that Billy's body was laid on. So I don't know.
Well, I do think, we can definitely establish that bench is the one that was in the museum in like the 20s or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
The line of custody and where it comes from before that is kind of hard to establish. So I think there are a lot of assumptions being made prior to that. But well, yeah, I could see why you would have to like tweak your Poe book about
Right,
that.
right. So yeah, I wanted
Um,
to go back and kind of address that because I spent quite a bit of time talking about that originally because it's kind of a key thing. It's a big part of the events of his death, and especially if you want
yeah.
to buy off into the DNA stuff and whether or not we could get his DNA from the workbench and all that. So yeah, I think that has to be looked at closer and scrutinized more closely because there's just so many people, and I'm going to go on record. I'm not one of them. Um, I don't want to speak for you or Doss. I think y'all probably agree with me, but I'll let you elaborate on that. I'm not one of them that hangs everything on getting Billy's DNA off that workbench. I
Right.
don't. I don't. Even if that is the bench, the likelihood in
Thanks, Honeybee.
my thanks, Honeybee. The likelihood, in my opinion, of Billy's DNA being on that bench and salvageable for us to test and then compare it with something I think is so minute that I've just never put a lot of serious thought into it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that's I don't really know how we got off on that little topic, but that's kind of the reason why the Poe project took just a little bit longer than I thought. That delayed it enough to where I had to kind of set it aside and prioritize the journal to keep that on line with the release date that we have every year. So
Right.
I'll get back on that soon, and then we've got the wild reports. You and I have been working on that. We'll get that done. Matt, I'm going to go ahead and throw it out here now. Our buddy Matt from Australia, he has spent I don't know how many years, but a lot of time working on a very complete, detailed timeline of Billy's life, starting with he actually started with I think Chisholm's birth in the 1820s and ended with Sam Smith, the last regulator's death in the 50s.
Wow.
He has finished that and sent that over to
Hmm.
us. We're doing some stuff on that to kind of add to it a little bit, and then we're going to publish that as well. So we've got some really really cool stuff lined up. Um, yeah, and those are just two that I feel comfortable talking about just now. As well as I do. We've got two or three
Yeah.
more things out there that they're just really good stuff that honestly should have been done a long time ago. I don't know why people haven't done it yet. So that's what we're here for. I love the
Yeah.
sites and I love marking stuff, but there's a lot to protecting and preserving Billy's history from an academic standpoint too, not just putting up physical, tangible things. So, that's
Right.
something else that's really fun. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
Well, I've got to hit the road, so we're gonna have to wrap up.
yeah, I'm sorry, I was just reading the comments. Yep, you're right, Massimo. 30 pages would definitely cover everything Gail puts in her books. Despite the
All the
fact that they're
books.
30,000 pages. I mean,
Yeah.
that thick a book is really a good college term paper would cover it, but that's all right.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it was good talking to everybody again. I'm kind of anxious to go back and read the comments and see what we missed. Everybody keeps sending us emails or Facebook messages if we miss something or y'all have questions. Man, I get a ton. I don't know about you, James. I'm sure you do too. I get a ton of Facebook Messenger questions, emails to our email accounts on the website. I try my best to get back to all of them. Sometimes I forget because we do get a lot. So if I forget, don't hate
Yeah.
me. Just keep sending them, and I'll get to
Yeah.
you.
We do not ignore on purpose. I mean, we really do get a lot of emails. It's
Yeah,
nuts.
yeah, it is a lot. I mean, I don't know how many, but daily I get a handful daily through email or Facebook Messenger. So again, if we forget, I'm so sorry. Please don't think we're being rude. Eventually, if I don't know, I need somebody to volunteer to be our secretary, and maybe that'll help
Yes.
expedite this and,
Yeah.
and make us a little
Yeah.
bit more efficient. Uh, man,
Absolutely.
we just get so much going on, man. It's hard to keep up with. But anyways, yeah, y'all let me know what you think. We'll share the bill of sale. James, if I can get one of
Yeah.
y'all maybe to share it on the Chasing Billy community, you or Mel. I'm not smart enough to do that. I'll post something on the coalition page so everybody else can see it. Share your thoughts. If y'all see something about it that you disagree with or you think makes it not authentic, please share it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Let's take all opinions and let's see what we come up with because man, you guys find stuff all the time that we miss, and that's great.
Yeah. All right, guys. It was a good monthly
Cool.
get together. And of course, we're going to bring content between these live shows. But,
Yep.
I know it's a long time to go. I get to miss in y'all's faces just as much as you miss ours. But I think it's a good setup. So we'll see you
Yep.
again the first Sunday of, November. Yeah.
November.
So,
Yep. We'll do a pre-recorded one. I'm pretty excited about I've got
oh, yeah.
a couple
Yeah.
of pre-recorded history sites that I want to share with everybody. So we'll come up with some stuff before that too. But man, thanks everybody for joining us. Man, I missed this. It was good to see y'all.
Yeah. Absolutely. It makes it more enjoyable, I think.
It does.
Absence
It
makes
does.
the heart grow fonder. So we'll see y'all
Something
next
like that.
time.
All
Take
right.
it easy.
Bye, guys.